Hey, Derek, I know from past and talking about your projects and that, I know that the people out here, they wanna know, like, where do I get started, how do I get started? And when you talked about the one apartment building, you walked us through that one where I can't remember, I think they were all efficiencies, weren't
Yeah,
they?
they're all bedroom.
Yeah, and I'm like, how can you make money with efficiency apartments? If you could just talk about how you put that together and how you created a situation that was unbelievable in my world. And then you guys got it sold for a really good dollar too. And it was just like a major win-win project. So could you talk about that?
What's the building we talk about? It's a 20-unit building, and if anybody wants to know information, I have detail. What we do is documentation beats conversation. So what we did was we documented the process. So we actually bought a building, a 20-unit building, all one bedrooms. Initially had one boiler to convert everything. So what we did was we went in and we complete renovated the building. Renovations cost about $240. So our initial acquisition was $140. Our renovations was $240. We completely had it filled up, 20 units at $600 per month. The only expenses we had was taxes, insurance, water bill, and common lights. Because when we went in and we talked about in this particular building, it all had separate utilities. So we went in, we converted every unit to have separate utilities in every situation. So we had to pay for the common water, which was the hot water, and that was it. So that made the building extremely cash flow. Now, in 24 months, after cash flowing $12,000 to $14,000 every month, what we did was we actually ended up selling the building for $650,000. So you think about it, a purchase of $140, a rehab of $240, collected rents for 2 years of over $12,000. So we collected about $140,000, $150,000 every year for 2 years, and then we sold it for $650,000. Not sure about you guys, but that's a good long-term investment. That's a flip. It's just a different type of flip. So instead of flipping a single family, we just flipped a multifamily. And the fact is, the good thing about a multifamily is it's not affected by the comps as much. It's affected more about the cash flow. So the fact is, when they looked at it, and the fact is, you didn't have that many liabilities. When we wrote it down, the fact is, the main thing is we didn't have to worry about utilities. The only utility we worried about was common lights, and we paid for the trash pickup, and we actually paid for the common water for the building. That was it. We didn't have to worry about that big utility bill. And that's what's good about this particular building. In fact, it's all separate utility. So if you're looking for that for a good long-term safe investment, 2, 3, 4 years, you come in and look at it, it's going to increase and appreciate in value anywhere between 5 to 7%. Invest back into the building a little bit every year, every month, whatever it is. And what happens is it'll create an asset for you that's going to be worth $2 million, $1.5 million in 3-4 years. So you buy now, you investigate, and then what happens is you have straight cash flow every month, because the fact is, remember, you don't have to worry about that big utility bill every month, because now from November to, let's say, April, you don't have to worry about the utility bill. A lot of people go on a budget plan, but if you go on a budget plan, it just takes cash out your pocket every month. So like I said, if you're looking for multifamilies to be a vehicle in the Metro Detroit area in 2021, please feel free to give me a call, because I've done 14 different buildings.
Could you talk a minute, because you guys were brilliant in the way that you, who you chose as a tenant for that building, or how you enrolled people into it. Could you talk about the tenants you had?
Well, what we did was, we actually identified VASH tenants. And VASH tenants are Veteran Assisted Supportive Housing. And we actually dealt with 6 different agencies that helped us to basically place tenants. And what happens is there's so many different programs out here. So not only did we put the vets in, but the vets were able to get free furniture, they got their utilities paid, they got their security deposit paid. It was a great situation. And what we did was we tried to make it a family. So we created a sitting area. We created all these different situations where the fact is there. Our average tenant was 55 years old. So guess what? We didn't have that many issues. We didn't have many maintenance issues. If you do it right initially, so we spent additional capital in the $240,000 we spent initially to get started, but the fact is we didn't have a lot of maintenance, so we didn't have to go back. Of course, you want to create your reserve fund, but if you do it right initially, you don't have a lot of situations. So that's what we identified the right tenant. So that's why we actually love 1-bedroom or efficiencies, because the fact is these seniors don't need a 2 or 3 bedroom unit. They okay with 1 bedroom. And the fact is that we get consistent rents. 90% of our rent came in by the first of the month. We created auto pay. That's part of our expectation. If you wanted to get started, you had to set up for auto pay. So let's say VASH pay 80%, which would be $480. The other $120 would have to come from them. But we had on auto pay. So on the first, second, or third, whenever their Social Security or pension hit, we got paid. So we didn't have to chase the money. That's another thing that you want to do. These are all systems that you create from day one. One thing that's very important is if they don't pay, By the third, fourth, or fifth, you need to get this section, you need to get them 7-day notices out. Because what happens is people pay based off pressure. If you don't give them consistent pressure, then the fact that they don't feel like they have to pay.
Yeah, and the thing, I know some of the people listening are gonna be in other parts of the country. You wanna find a Derek Scruggs in your market, or you can actually even call him, he does counseling over the phone and stuff too, but the thing I love about Mr. Scruggs is the fact that the people that I've brought to him, he coaches them not only on the building, but in the tenant selection, how they put the whole thing together, so.
I have a saying I live by: success leaves clues, but failure does too. And what I mean by that is, I failed my way to success. So basically, you either gonna learn on your own dime or you learn on my dime. So the fact is, how to put a good system together, how to get the rehab, how to get the right budgets together. These are all things I had to learn over a period of time. So first, building 1, 2, and 3, we made a lot of mistakes. Disappointed, we overspent, but by the time building 6, 7, 8 came, we had a system in place. We had checklists, we had expectations, we had contracts, we had all these things in place to make sure that the fact is that we knew what our expectations was by a certain period of time. We pretty much identified. It doesn't seem like a big situation, but a 20-unit building, you can't go to Home Depot and get 20 sets of cabinet. You have to basically set that up into your expectation or into your budget, or how you want to get those. When do they get shipped? 1,000 sheets of drywall. If you go in there and you want to renovate that, you can't get that all at one time. You want to get it set up into certain stages, but we've created budgets, systems, checklists to make sure they get there. So if electrician come in, once these 7 things are done, then you get your first draw. Once the next 8 things done, you get your second draw. Once the final inspection get done, then you get paid off. But if we don't create those expectations from day one and those systems, then the fact that you just repeat, and then you basically have different contracts come in and never complete anything.
Could we, maybe not today, but or at a later date, or if it works for you today, we do like a part 2 where you give coaching around the steps of the construction process?
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Especially, it's the difference between a single family and multi-family. So the fact is, one day in New Year, we'll sit down and we'll go over a step-by-step process.
Great. So I've had Derek speak in front of our group before, and I get blasted with, how do I get hold of him? So I'm just right off the bat, can you tell people how they can get hold of you?
Easy way to get in touch with me, if you text me through 248-910-5154, or you can email me at my name, Derek with a H, Scruggs, Derek, D-A-R-R-I-C-K, the letter H, Scruggs, S-C-R-U-G-G-S @gmail.com. 5 easy steps to buying your first apartment building in 2021.
Hey Derek, thanks. I really appreciate you taking the time out to walk us through. I really appreciate the fact you're willing to show us how to rehab one in the future too. So
one thing I learned in life is the fact that the seeds you sow is what you reap. The fact is, the more I let people know what I do and what I'm capable of, the fact is more likelihood for me to be able to get good qualified clients. Because the fact is, this is not for everybody. Everybody can't buy their first apartment building. It takes time and it takes the right people. So you may have to go through some single family to get there. But the fact is, in 2021, let's put together a plan. Let's meet and see how we can work together. Because the fact is, you may have the capital, but not have the expertise. I got the expertise and I have the manpower to be able to put together a unit. I have the system, I have the know-how, I have the clients, I have everything that's here. Because the fact is, through doing 14 units, I've actually experienced a lot of success and a lot of failure. So the fact is, now I know the right systems from each one I did. And then what I do is I go back and review it. That's why I always tell people, you plan, do, and review. So after doing 14, we've actually got a checklist from A to Z to go through everything.
That's great. Thanks for being with us today.